we're doing.
Okay.
So, hi, Dr. Ivey.
Hello.
How was your trip to Bali?
It was an amazing trip to Bali. We were there. I was there for a month, and it was a remarkable time of coming to know the culture better, coming to understand how art informs the Balinese in everything that they do in their daily life. And it was a remarkable month of getting to know the people and how they practice their art. I was living in Penastanan. It's a small village that is right next to the major city of Ubud. Ubud is the cultural center of Bali, and so we're really in the interior of the island. We did get to take trips on our days off to towns and cities that are outside of Ubud. And so we went to the volcano, we were at the hot springs in the volcano, we saw temples in Klung Kung and in other cities. And we also got to the beach the very last day that I was there. And I spent a lot of time in Mas, working with a mask carver there. I was studying the Balinese mask carving, of which this is one of them that I purchased last summer. But I got to know this particular mask carver better. His name is Idabagus Anom Suryawan, and I attended ceremonies that he was performing shadow puppetry in. He carves masks. It's part of his family heritage. And I got to see him perform shadow puppetry at a ceremony dedicated to the goddess Saraswati, who is the goddess of knowledge. And this particular ceremony was performed at the school in his town of Mas. And so all of the school children were there. They're performing the shadow puppetry. They're also performing Topeng dance drama, which I also studied. I studied the minister's dance in Topeng, and then the priest is also giving his blessings at the same time as that ceremony is going on. So it was a fascinating experience. I was able to go to another ceremony at Dayu, who is Anam's wife, at her family compound, as they had the full moon ceremony that blessed all of the instruments by which they carve their masks and by which they do their handiwork. And that was a wonderful ceremony on a smaller scale than what I had seen prior. We also learned the kachak, which is the monkey chant. It is a ceremony that takes place all throughout Bali, and we learned portions of the kachak and performed that in a recital that took place at the end of the workshop.
Great. Was your trip to Bali just for leisure, or was it for anything coming up? Say, for instance, I know next year you're directing School for Scandal. Was it?
Well, I have this interest in all forms of masked drama, and so I wanted to know more about how they perform as well as make their masks. Mm-hmm. The trip was at times leisurely. We were fortunate to have a pool at our hotel that came in very handy because the weather there is very hot and very humid, and there were times when it felt like there was not any leisure time. We were really working pretty hard most of the time, and the projects that I'm coming up to work on really will have very little to do with the Balinese arts. The School for Scandal next year there may be some masked work in it, possibly, but certainly nothing that looks Balinese. I don't anticipate that. Um, the reason I really wanted to go was to continue some of my understanding of Asian culture and particularly Asian performance styles. And I feel that I can better communicate to students now in about that particular portion, that particular region in the world, and about how their performance styles utilize masks as a device to communicate.
Great. All right. Thank you, Dr. Ivey. And we're glad to have you back in the theater department.
Thank you.
All right.